What's good, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. It is Friday. This is Friday Night Live. We got a lot to unpack tonight. Happy to be here, hanging out. We got a couple of things on the plate for tonight, and that's a real, another heavy topic of discussion. But we also have our Patreon Q&A. So for all my Patreon supporters and members, stick around for that. We're going to get into that. We're also going to do some giveaway announcements. So we're going to pick the winners to the Patreon giveaway for the month of October. We're going to pick the winner for the YouTube member giveaway for the month of October as well. So very, very happy to announce those things. We should have a couple of special guests popping in. I want to say hello to everyone that's hanging out already. GT Key Comics, what's going on? Raising Elm, X11, Shadow Rat, Raising Elm. We got Chris Verde, Artist Dude, what's going on? Creepy Cow Comics, what is up, folks? Planet AZ, what's going on? Yep, and you just took the words out of my mouth. First off, repping my Chadwick shirt. Tomorrow, no spoilers in the chat. If you guys seen the movie, don't spoil it. I will find you. Nah, but I got my tickets for a matinee movie tomorrow. I can't wait. But I do want to say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans that are in the chat. I know we already have a couple hanging out in the chat. I want to shout out to my dad. Happy Veterans Day to my dad. I want to say Happy Veterans Day to my grandfather, who is no longer with us, and to everyone else out there in your families. So with that being said, we have something going on tonight. After we get done here, we'll probably go for 2 hours tonight. Maybe, to be quite honest, guys, I haven't been feeling too well today, but I'm going to push through because we have a lot to do. But I'm looking at 2 hours, so we should be done by 8 Pacific, because at 9 Pacific, something's going down, and we're going to bring in somebody, a good friend of the channel, is going to make a real quick cameo appearance because he's got something big going on tonight, and I can't start my show without giving him a couple minutes to talk about that, because this is bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. So welcome in, Bronze. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Chris? How's it going?
It's all right, man. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty well, man. Getting excited for a big event I'm doing tonight. Thank you for letting me come on and talk about it for a few minutes.
Yeah, man. So this is, for those that don't know, there is a link in the description. It's right on top. So if you guys see the first link there, that's what's going to be happening tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific. But Bronze, I'll just let you take it away. Let everyone know what is going on.
Yeah, for sure. So tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern, I am doing a charity stream. It's called Heroes for Heroes. And I've worked closely with several veteran members of the comic book community, as well as several comic book shops and just members of the community that wanted to donate. We have a slate of amazing items for auction tonight. Every single penny that we earn is going to be donated to an amazing veterans charity called Mission 22. Mission 22 is a veterans charity that was founded by veterans for veterans, and they do a lot of community outreach with the veteran community, including things like trying to prevent veteran suicide, which I think we can all agree is one of the most awful, things that happens in our society. So this is a chance for the comic book community to show what we can do, to rally together, raise some money for a great cause. I've already raised over $500 in kind of previously allocated donations that have come through. So we already are off to a great start. Got tons of slabs, raw comic books, signed comic art. I'm doing over $100 in giveaways alone, giving away slabs just to get people to come watch. So this is happening on the Drip app tonight. Now, a lot of people might not be familiar with Drip. It's a little bit like Whatnot. It's that live selling kind of atmosphere and platform. The benefits are there's actually cheaper fees. So more of the money you donate is going to go to the charity. Shipping's a little bit cheaper. But you do have to go sign up for an account. So that's why you want to go do that ahead of time, get your payment option set. Even if you can't come and buy anything or bid on anything, come watch, because that's going to help the stream do better and help raise more money by bringing in more viewers.
Right.
So that's what I'd really ask everybody to do, is even if you're just going to set the phone down and go walk your dog, go ahead and log in. I would appreciate it.
Awesome. And I had a couple of questions lined up, and you answered them, like, where's this going to be? The Drip app. what do you need to do? It's pretty simple. If you click the link, just like if you're setting up an eBay account, you got to put your email in, set a password, and if you're looking to participate and make a purchase, you got to link some type of payment method. It's very quick to do. So absolutely. Raising Elm, thank you. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Thank you for that. And please, guys, no spoilers at all. Let's just not even talk about it. All right, let's save that for next week. But Bronze, man, any real quick, have you seen the movie yet?
I have not. I'm so late these days to go watch movies usually, and it's kind of that you're dancing that razor's edge because spoilers are everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm excited to go watch it. Hey, before I hop off, can I show a couple items that I have for tonight?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What else? Anything else you want to let everyone here know before you bounce?
Yeah, Randy Emberlin sent over this rejected ASM 361 cover. Wow. Randy Emberlin's the co-creator of Carnage, and he actually signed it there. Collector's Choice Comics was awesome enough to bring this up to us because Randy wanted to donate, but he was on the road, so he couldn't do it. I knew he was going to be at Collector's Choice. Kevin there was awesome and facilitated getting this signed print over to us. That's for the auction tonight. Dangerous Waters Comics and Moore sent over this. This is really hot right now because of House of the Dragon. This is a art book, and it's a really cool art book. Lots of gorgeous art in here, thick hardcover. We got slabs too. I just have a few items to show off. I won't take too much of your guys' time, but Batman 666, that came from Dangerous Waters Comics and More.
Nice.
You got 630 Collectibles, who did another veteran stream today. That's an awesome another stream that was happening for veterans. Did that Boss Logic cover. I'm giving this away. This is just a giveaway. This is signed by Tony Fleece. This is Stray Dogs #1, the Dracula homage cover. That's just a giveaway. You can come win just by coming and hanging out. Captain Electric sent over this Tales of the Jedi 9/8. That's awesome. #1 there. And last one I have to show off for tonight's auction. I got tons more. Hundreds of comics are already loaded. You can pre-bid. How about some Jim Lee goodness? Uncanny X-Men 268 donated by Danny Girl Comics. Lots of fun stuff we're going to have tonight. I literally have hundreds of comics. Everybody who comes is getting free comic books if you buy anything at all. Spidey comic books, indies, all kinds of stuff. So come hang out.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, again, guys, the link is right on top in the description, right there, that top little spiel. So, Bronze, thanks, man. I know you got a busy night to get ready for. We are less than 3 hours away. 9 p.m. Pacific, guys, 12 midnight Eastern. So if you're on the East Coast, come on, it's Friday. Stay up. Go support. Thank you, Bronze.
And you can go pre-bid now. Even if you can't make it tonight, I realize it's late, but you can actually do pre-bids on all the items. Oh, by the way, raw books are starting like $1, exclusive starting at $10. All the slabs start at $25. So something for everybody.
Indeed. Right on, Bronze. Thank you so much for, being a part of this and good luck.
Thank you, man. Hope you have a great show.
All right. Thank you. Take care, man.
Later.
Awesome. All right, guys. Big shout out to Bronze, man. That's really cool, for him to do that, doing it on Veterans Day. So, and thank you to him for coming by just to share that with everyone here. So, let's take a couple more minutes before we get into the topic of discussion. Now, like I said, we're going to have a Patreon Q&A tonight, but we have some other stuff to talk about. But just a reminder, I will be giving away, I have the window. I did the randomizers. So we have my YouTube members were in, to win this awesome Walmart pack with the store number 1. Yeah. Variant. It's unopened. It's a 3-pack. So I know who the winners are. I'm not going to give them away until later in the show. And then of course, for my Patreon members, we got Dark Ages #1, West Coast Avengers 62, and this awesome Eternals #1 variant by Arthur Adams. So again, to all my members, Patreon and YouTube, stick around. I will be announcing those a little bit later in the show. And another reminder too is, as I always do on Friday, Sunday night, Comic Book Canon. We're going to have an awesome show. We're going to talk a little bit about Wakanda Forever, spoiler free. We'll probably talk about some Black Adam. We got a lot of awesome news lined up, and of course, props for flops and fresh from the comic book shop. So check us there. Link below to Comic Book Canon if you guys aren't subbed up yet. Yeah. All right, guys. Comic Journey. What's going on, man? So we got a guest already here. I'm gonna pull in And I'm gonna pull them right in. We'll just get to talking, guys, because this isn't really mapped out. A lot of what we're discussing has to do with things that have transpired recently, but we'll see where this goes. And like I said in my post, I am open. Anybody that might want to come in front of the camera and talk about these specific issues, especially if you have opposing viewpoints, I'm telling you, let me know and we can try to make something happen. But I'm going to bring in an awesome member of this community, Brian McClay. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? Good to see you, Chris.
You too, man. Yeah, you tried to make some time to come on to the Wednesday show. You have very busy Wednesdays, but happy to have you here tonight.
Shout out to Bronze Age Nerd for that great Mission 22 thing he's doing. That was really cool. I suggest everybody go check it out. And not only do I suggest it, around the time he's doing it, I'll be doing the Hot 10 list live. So I'm even telling people, don't go watch my Hot 10 list. Go to Chris's sale and help out Mission 22. So
that's awesome. That's awesome,
brother.
Man. Yeah. So real quick, because you're here. It's funny. I had your link in Wednesday's show, but you couldn't make that, and you're here today. I don't have the link, but guys,
no worries. Beyond Wednesdays.
If you're not subscribed to Brian's YouTube, can you give them a little idea where they can find you?
Yeah, find me at Beyond Wednesdays, you guys, on YouTube. Check out my IG; it's right there. So you guys, there's a link tree to everything. And I got so many shows that I do every week, and on top of it, I love to jump on other shows and other content creators, programs, because I think that one of the topics that we're kind of getting into is the importance of not only just influencers, but the community and everything that's going on. And by doing this, by jumping on other people's shows, and not only just jumping on people's shows, but most importantly, I think having this type of interaction, right, where we see people, we talk to people, we see other people's faces and eyes, and we see their emotions. It isn't just somebody behind a keyboard. It's not just somebody seeing the text. You hear the inflection in my voice. Is so important. So so I do that every week, multiple channels, multiple shows. Come check me out. IG is the best place to find my link tree, and you can go check out all that stuff.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So let's just we're going to get into this discussion today, because it's really been weighing on me a lot. And I went live on Wednesday. For those that don't know, I did a live stream titled "Influencers Are Out of Control." Now, I had a special guest. Big shout out to Brendan, who came on, and Brendan, I brought him on because he shared a lot of kind of the perspective that I did. But what I didn't get out of that show, which I usually do, and it's crazy, because I for sure thought that title was going to bring some folks in that would have opposed, kind of been more on the opposition of what we were talking about. And I wanted that because I encouraged that. But if you guys don't know, just to give a brief rundown of what that show was about, and me saying that influencers are out of control, it was actually me kind of playing with words, because to be quite honest, I am very, very tired of this. First off, of the generalized and sensationalized labels that we're just throwing people, where everything now doesn't even have like a textbook definition. It's a demoralizing label. It's weaponized, right? That's my opinion. And I believe this whole anti-rhetoric, it's not just like, I don't like what this one person did during this, or maybe it's like completely anti-rhetoric. And my argument was that influencers are out of control. And what I meant by influencers was the people that are sitting here pointing fingers at so-called influencers. And these are people that have YouTubes, but maybe they're just not big YouTubes, or big enough to where they feel that they can, give themselves the title of influencer. It's also people that have Instagrams. Maybe they don't have a YouTube. Maybe we've never seen their face, but they are on Instagram, and everything they do is negative, anti. So much so to where it's now gone beyond just saying, I think this is unethical. It's about, what I call online bullying. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. When you take a screenshot of somebody and like put googly eyes on them and clown emojis, and you're just talking crap about them and calling them high school names in the description, I mean, to me, you're not making a point anymore. And this all was an accumulation of a lot that's been happening over the last few months. Obviously, C2E2 was a big kind of like climax of all this stuff. And there's been a lot of drama surrounding me with certain individuals in this community, which I did my best to address and, you know, build bridges, but I'm only standing on one side. And also, where am I going with this? Oh, so it was the stream I did last week about inciting violence. Now, and Brian, I could sit here and kind of keep doing this, but I want to let you jump in because, like I said, this isn't scripted, and I don't have one specific question to kind of lead you in here. But I do want to say one more thing, and I'm just going to kind of give you the floor and see where you take it. But the thing with me is that people, you know, we're at a point to where we're all influencing everybody, and I've been saying this a lot. People in the chat right here are saying things, and they're influencing people in the chat. I'm here in front of a screen. Brian's here in front of a screen, and we have the power to influence all you guys watching today. So I see a lot of influence going on when we talk about echo chambers and groupthink, where this anti-rhetoric is basically there's a large portion of this community. Well, maybe they're not that large. I can come back to that later, but there's a loud portion of this community that to me is following the echo chamber. And I have a screenshot. I'm not going to show it. I'm doing my best to stay away from like putting people on blast, showing what like, to me, it's almost counterproductive at this point.
Yeah.
But there was a recent stream where, you know, we're talking about certain quote unquote influencers, and you have people in there. All right, so like, what do we do next? Like, what do we do next? Are we hating this person? Are we not hating this person anymore? And it just that, like, I'm shaking my head like this proves my point. People, with the great power comes great responsibility. And when we put ourselves in front of these screens, we got to understand that everything we do. So when certain, and again, I'm not trying, look, I'm gonna speak about someone without saying their name. I've asked this, I've every time before I brought up anything having to do with this individual, I've reached out to them privately, respectfully. They've never responded. They never came on my show. They never invited me on theirs, and they have never had a conversation with me. But there is an individual out there that's selling T-shirts, stomping Comic Tom's head in.
Yeah.
And at what point do we not hold ourselves accountable? And I just feel, Brian, I feel like I don't want someone to come up here and say, yeah, Chris, you're right. Like, you know, I need somebody to try to maybe, I don't know, maybe challenge me. Maybe I just need some different perspective.
Well, let me challenge you. Let me challenge you real quick, because I got something that, and this is the kind of take to create a conversation, right? It's not necessarily I agree with it or not, but here's one of the problems is one of the human conditions is to feel a way about something when you feel wronged in any situation, right? And so many of the times now with social media and the way everything is, we instantly take to a comment or somebody saying something that they're coming at us. They're not being part of the conversation. They're coming at us, right? And I don't know if it's some people just deal well. Actually, I do know some people just deal well with it better than others. Some people, that's how they are. They set up those boundaries. They set up those blockers, right? That, you know, this is just how I am, and you're going to have to deal with it. And I get all that. But one of the biggest problems is that I hate, and you talk about pitchforks all the time. I hate the fact that we're trying to have this quote unquote community here, and then instead of the community aspect, it becomes an us versus them aspect, right? It's never hey, let's figure out a way to help each other. Let's figure out a way to you know, instead of bitching about something or being petty about something or creating pettiness, you know, in the community, let's figure out a different way. It always comes back to that. And I call it the 40-year-old baby syndrome. And I'm not saying that they're, you know, everybody's 40-year-old babies, but listen, we're men here. A lot of us are men. We're in our, late 30s or, early to 50 range. And there's so many babies out there, and it's just totally, it's not worth it, in my opinion. And that's why I try to be that person. And here's the other thing. I come from, and this is no disrespect or shade on my homies over at my old team, but one of the reasons why I had to leave that team is because I felt like it got to a point like it was always that us versus them, like we're better than everybody. And I'm not saying they're like this, you know what I mean, but it's just at some point it felt like that. It felt like, instead of, hey, let's go jump on and collaborate with people, no, we're better than that, we're better than that. And that just doesn't work for me anymore. And I don't know what to think about it, other than it's conducive to growth, right? And it's also conducive to your own psyche. So your guest last night made a great comment. He kind of brought it up that too many of these people out there that don't think that they're influencers need to realize they are influencers. And on vice versa, like if you think that you are like this great big influencer, like bring yourself down a peg, right? Because you have to look into yourself and kind of say to yourself, hey, maybe this is not what I am. Maybe this is just, maybe I need to bring it up or bring myself up. And the people that are out there shooting their shots at people saying, hey, let's go get the influencers, you're exactly right. They don't realize they are influencers. They are influencing a ton of people to hate on somebody. Here's the important thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Sometimes I feel like that stuff can be justified. Now, it's how far you take it, right? You say, like you said, inciting violence is the time when it's just not worth it at that point, right? But also, when you're throwing shade at somebody that it isn't justified, it feels gross. It doesn't feel good. And then you get pigeonholed as that person that's always looking to throw shade or always looking for the shade. I think people are going to eventually look at it like, man, this is gross. But I don't know. What do you think? I said a lot there to ask you what you think. But
Well, I think it is really important. But see, this is the thing that I struggle with. How I've just been so blackballed ever since. I mean, we'll go back to C2E2 the first day, and I came out and made. I was probably one of the first to make a video. Bronze Age, I think, was the first to address the face. He's the first to come out that I seen make a video and address a simple Facebook comment. But I came out and said, all I said was, don't jump to conclusions, don't point fingers. And then as soon as I was done with that stream, everyone on Instagram was creating memes and sharing me. And again, I said this before. This was before we knew Nerdy Girl took 75 comics. Nobody knew anything except somebody posted in a Facebook group saying there was people cutting lines that and one of them has a YouTube channel or something like that. And then the next stream I did, I kind of went off, and maybe I could have handled it different, but I was like, I told you, and that's why I was so angry in that second stream, because it's like, this is what I told you, because by that point in time, a lot of the truth was out that certain people weren't even there. Somebody was in the hospital. Somebody's wife or child was like horribly sick, and they're getting like freaking all these memes created on him and just pitchfork. So I don't know, to what you were saying there about like people want to feel justified. Like, I do my best to make it clear that there are so many things that we can be upset about or look at and be like, I don't know, that doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It's justified. I always say that, but it's about how we handle it, how we react to it, that isn't justified, that might not be justified. But even I can be as clear as day stating that, and still, I mean, today, I'll pull up a prime example today on, it was on the stream, that I did on Wednesday, the influencers are out of control stream. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Basically, they were just saying, oh, so let me get this straight. It's these people can get away with, like, you know, manipulating, you know, all the little, and again, I don't mean to undermine, like, sometimes this happens. Sure. They're doing all these unethical things and they can get away with it. But then when we react to get angry, then we're the bad guy. Right. Okay. I'm like, again, if that's what you took out of it, you completely missed everything I said. So it makes me then question intent. Do you really care about anything that you're talking about? And that's where I'm sorry, like, it's really like, and I think I said this last night, maybe I didn't. It's like politicians. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, independent, whatever. I bet a lot of politicians start somewhere and they care. Right? I bet they get into politics because they, for some reason, they are passionate about something.
They feel like they could fix something. They feel
Right.
like they should fix something. They feel
Right.
like it's their duty.
Sure. Right. But then when they get into politics, oh, guess, man, the in front of the cameras, the notoriety, the
toxicity
whatever,
behind the scenes.
Yeah, the money, the special interest money in the pocket, like all that. So then now it's just a gimmick. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry to those that spend. And another thing, it's like, it's not even in moderation. This is what I always say too. If you really love comics and you think that this YouTuber or this whatnot seller or this app or this platform is ruining comics, then why don't I ever hear you talk about what's good about comics? So to me, if you even if you wanted to be a voice and you had good intent to stand up against things that you felt were bad about comics, it can't be all that you do, because then to me that's disingenuous. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's really where I'm at and what I'm seeing with a lot of people.
I agree. I think that over the last probably couple months, I've really kind of, I don't know if I've opened my eyes more or if it's gotten really, really bad, but the toxicity has been on my mind pretty heavy about any time that I get into this, you know, world, right? And by world, I mean content creation, specifically our little side of the pool, comics content creation, where, you know, sometimes we also sell comics, right? So I think that's and you kind of were getting into it a little bit, how you feel like, hey, maybe we're not as big as a side of the pool. Like our side of the pool isn't as big as you think, or our tent pole isn't as big as you think, you know? And I agree with that. I agree. I think that sometimes we think that we're larger than we are, right? And that this is a bigger problem than it is. But I will say this, I definitely feel like it's starting to get to a point where we need to definitely recognize it and say that there's some things happening that if they continue to happen, it could really affect the positive part of comics. Okay. So maybe having conversations about that is the important part, right? Maybe being able to, like you said, invite people to come on the show and talk about it is an important part, and talking behind the scenes is an important part. And hopefully, you know, the reason it's gotten so, you know, it's funny I say hopefully about a negative, but the reasons it's got so negative is because we haven't had the ability to do that. We've been kind of all stuck in COVID mode. We've been all stuck in, you know, the kind of the darkness and everything. And we need to get back to being, you know, social again. And we've kind of lost that. Otherwise, I don't know what to think, because I see things happening so much and so often, and you kind of look into it, and behind the scenes, you start smelling the foulness, right? It's very easy to smell the foulness, man. And I'm one of those guys that I try to be as positive as I can about the community, but then I see the things happening. I mean, let's be honest, there's so many things that are happening right now that have to do with, you know, money and being able to make money off of this, that it's taking away from enjoying comics. Not very many people that we, talk with or are part of the community read as much as they used to, right? The comics. They're enjoying the comics because they sell them, or what's next to make money off of, and how many exclusives can I get done? How many retailer exclusive variants can I do this month? That type of stuff. It's about making money, and the people out there are getting tired about it and saying something about it. So
let me talk. So interesting point now, because first off, this is an industry. It's about making money. So it blows my mind when people don't acknowledge that. That's first and foremost. But to your point, I do believe I agree with a lot of what you're saying about, more people are, the whole fund, let the hobby fund itself, which I'm not against. I mean, that's basically how I've been. Not that I do it for that, but I'm trying to substantiate a business to where I can maybe open up an LCS. But I haven't really been buying comics, but I've been keeping some from the collections I buy, and I don't, I can at least make my money back and make a little profit. So I get it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I do think more people in the hobby, whether they've been in it, whether they're new to it, are realizing, oh, yeah, I can make the hobby fund itself. I can collect and make an extra buck, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I'm not saying that that's inherently negative at all or whatever, but maybe to your point, that kind of breeds more of this kind of closed off, competitive nature, to where we're just like, it feeds our ego in a sense, because we're just trying to like that gimme, 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 me mentality. But where I'm going to challenge what you just said is this. You basically said what I just said, saying that these things are happening, but then people are seeing this and getting upset about it. But I don't know about that, because the people that I see getting upset about it are doing exactly that. Literally, 9 out of 10 people that I see making, their whole MO anti flipper, anti influencer, anti whatnot. They hop off of their anti whatnot and flipper stream, and then they go hop on YouTube and are doing an auction. So they're also anti-exclusive variants, but then they go and sell store variants. Like the majority of people doing this are in some form or fashion
part of the problem.
Selling comics.
Yeah. They're quote unquote part of the problem, right? Like they complain about and then they do it. And again, it goes back to the money thing, man. I hate to say it, but money makes people do weird things. And then on top of it, what Comics Journey kind of said in his super chat, he said that, it's people behind these keyboards that have to validate their own worth, right? And that's a weird thing. That's a weird human thing that, again, you instantly feel a way about something, which might not be validated. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time, when you're reading a social media post, like how many people have to put like no shade here, this is not a taking a shot, this is not a shots fired post, or and then they literally have to say the next thing, here is my shots fired stuff, right? You have to start saying, this is when I'm saying that I have a problem with something, and and when I'm just regularly talking, I have to let everybody know I don't have a problem with something. This is just what I'm saying,
Right.
That's weird. That's such a weird thing that we have to do that now.
Yeah. Comic Journey, thank you so much for that and adding to the conversation. Absolutely. Thanks for the super chat for sure. And that's a good point. And I do that too. And I think sometimes that might seem antagonizing when you're like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but then people you're trying to reiterate that you're just trying to be civil, but then they take even more offense to that. And it's like, but what's interesting? We talk about validation. And I understand it's like this strange it's human nature. But and hey, like, believe me, like, I've talked about how social media companies, they hire like neurologists and psychologists to work these platforms to where it sends signals to kick up our endorphins and everything. But you know what validates me? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I love when somebody's in the chat and I'm trying to make a point and they say something and it like adds to my point and I'm like, yes, that's great. But you know what I love? And I'm going to say it's an example that happened today. So there's an individual that, watches the channel. We've communicated on Instagram. He's expressed concerns. We talked about the C2E2 drama and, kind of, open-minded to having these discussions, but not like anti. But he came at me today. I guess he saw my Wednesday show and he was like, "You influencers, you're just like them. I'm leaving the room. Like I'm gone. Don't worry." And I said, "Nope." And what do? I send voice messages because I'm like, "You're gonna hear my voice. I'm not typing." Yo, I was like just waking up. I'm like, I was talking his ear off, and I even told him. We ended up talking, and I told him this is important to me. Like, this is why I tell everyone my door's always open. I don't know who this guy is. Never seen his face. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. I'm not talking to him to gain clout or because there's something in it for me, getting more views or something like that. It's like, this is a community member that has a valid frustration, even though I don't agree with how he's handling it. So, but every time we kept talking, I reminded him of what we were doing. Like saying, "Look, man, just 5 minutes ago, you were like putting me in a prejudicial box and we're saying I'm good, I'm gone. But now you're like explaining things and we're talking about it." And there was that growth. And that I felt some type of validation because it felt good to know that two people may have been in their feelings or on opposite ends of something and had a conversation about it. I mean, is this something that we as human beings have lost, or like how do we get more people to kind of do what happened this morning with this individual?
It's doing this right here. It's talking about it, right? Some of the best things that have happened with social media, kind of happened organically. And I think one of them was the long form podcast or long form YouTube show. Like and Joe Rogan kind of, created, I felt like he was one of the ones that everybody kind of gravitated towards. And by doing a 3-hour podcast, he might have somebody that you usually don't like, but then you see them being human, you seeing them being vulnerable. One of the things that I like to say all the time is, and you say it too, change my mind. Like, I want you to change. Like, if you can change my mind, change my mind. Let's do it. I'm willing to say, hey, I was wrong in something, or, or I don't know about something, I think that's very important. I do a show with my best friend called the Bogcast, and we like to interview musicians and stuff. And he had this amazing night where he got to premiere his own pilot episode that he wrote and directed, and he was up all night and, just on a high, right? And the next morning he got a call from a publicist that he's been in touch with for a while saying, hey, this guitar player from this band, which is his favorite all-time band, is willing to do an interview with you, but you have to do it this morning. And here he is, getting into this thing, and he fouls it up majorly, bro. He says the guy's name wrong twice in a row, and the guy has to tell him, hey, you say it like this. And at the same time, he's saying, this guy's my favorite guitar player, right? You should know how to say this guy's name is your favorite guitar player. And he called me after it, and he said, man, I'm so embarrassed. I wanted to get out of podcasting. And I said, you know what, bro? You need to put out that interview, and then on the next podcast, we need to talk about it, right? Because one, it's going to show people that you're human and that you make mistakes, and it'll endear people to you. And also, when those people see that and they give you feedback and say, hey, man, we've done shit like that before, it'll make it easier on you. So by doing this right here, this conversation, this long form podcast, that to me, that's the most important thing that we can do right now, other than, going to cons and seeing each other and, going to bars after the con. I was so bummed out that I missed out seeing so many people recently at Baltimore, right? Because I love that feeling of seeing these people that we just might know through this and being able to enjoy a meal with them. There's a hip hop artist out here in Phoenix called Merkham's, and he's got this line, and he says, break bread or play dead, right? Like, and basically meaning like how important it is to, you know, sit down and enjoy each other and, you know, be around each other, and it can change so much, right? And at the same time, like, we can make money together, right?
Yeah.
We can make money together, in my opinion, and that's kind of what I take about it. We can all make money together. This pool, this feeding frenzy, like, there, it might be on a down, but it's not on like a down. Like, prices are down, you know, for a year or so, but they're up compared to they were 3 years ago, you know. So I, I don't know, man. Other than what we're doing right now and continuing to show people this and give them ways, that's the only way to fix it. At the same time, though, we have to do like we're talking about. There is, you have to be justified to say people are wrong. Not
Right.
say people are assholes or this person's a dick or this
Right.
person's a piece of shit in his personal life, but what he did, the optics didn't look good.
Right. I do want to get into that again. Common Journey, thank you so much here for the super chat. Again, people are so wound up they can't stand when you point out how ridiculous they are. Yet they are first to try to cancel someone they envy. I would probably use different words here, but I know what you're saying. You know, yeah. I like this whole and I don't want to get too much into this whole Kanye West thing. It's like I think it's definitely gotten so out of control. And I could sit here and say I'm not even saying that I agree with any agree or disagree with anything Kanye says or does, but are we at least allowing him to talk and listen, and then, you know, giving him an opportunity to have that conversation, and we're not doing that. I mean, you look at everything that's going on with I mean, from politics to where politics slide into, I don't like to call it all politics, but, you know, social issues. It's always an extreme. And if you aren't a carbon copy echo chamber of what I believe in, then I don't even want to, nope, you're this. So that, yeah. And that of course is, I think, plaguing the comic book industry on many levels. And what's allowing it to, what's helping perpetuate it is what we've been talking about here, how we operate on social media. I wanted to see what Pastor Turn says here. Flippers, speculators, influencers is all buzzwords. It becomes my collection's better than yours. The end all be all. That we as grown-ups, we're done with high school. I agree. I think so much of it is that.
Yeah, that's why I talk about the 40-year-old baby syndrome, right? And one of the things that I just put in the chat is I don't want to be one of the things that I don't want to be is to ever be that thing where like people, especially your peers, right? Get around, and when your name comes up, that you don't have people that like not only stand up for you, but that also say, you know, no, I do like that guy, I respect that guy, this and that, and I think that even if we don't get along at some point, we have to be able to say like, hey, I respect this person, right? And too many people get in that thing where they feel a way about something, and now we got to go head to head. And yeah, I get it. It's just the way some people are. Some people are that way, and it sucks sometimes. It really sucks sometimes.
Yeah. Nicholas, I'm not going to highlight your other comments, but I wanted to highlight just to recognize you. First off, look, I know certain names are being brought up in the chat, and out of respect for other individuals, you know, and out of respect and to not give anybody firepower, I'm going to be completely honest with that. It goes both ways here.
Yeah.
But this isn't about, we're not, look, I can only speak for myself, but no matter what somebody else has said about me, no matter how harsh they've came at me, no matter how many times they closed the door on me, no matter how many times they may have tried to twist the perception of who I am as a human being, my door is still open to them. And that's where, like, I can stand here, not with ego, but with what I believe is true humility, and be okay with that, because I know where I stand, and I can't do anything to convince any of you guys. And by me saying this and saying what I'm saying, I'm not saying that anybody, it's not about being wrong or right. Look, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I suffer from narcissist abuse. All right. I won't get into the details, but I've been in therapy for 7 years, and one thing that I had to learn is that I can't be a victim, right? And you learn this thing about trauma where it's like, you know, it helps to have people that understand your trauma and that could be empathetic, but it's your trauma. Okay. Nobody else needs to be traumatized by your trauma, right? So what I've learned is when people have differences of opinions and there's the certain type of negative energy or a disagreement, sometimes things get heated and blow up. It's not about who started it, for one. It's not about who's wrong or right, for two. It's about understanding the dynamic. And once you understand the dynamic, you can step outside of the situation and say, I'm only in control of myself, and I'm going to do what I can to be not the better person, because somebody, I don't know if they're watching right now, somebody recently said this to me. Even though you have good intent when you say I'm being the better person or the bigger person, that could be kind of demoralizing to the other person. Maybe they think they're being the bigger person, and now you're saying, oh, well, you're better than. So I'm not going to say it allows me to be the bigger person, but it allows me to know where I'm at in my humility to try to understand the other person's faults, hoping that we can change to understand my responsibility and the other person to help change the dynamic. So anybody that has ever talked bad about me, because there have been, even if I've tried to open the door and handle it as humbly as I could, my door's still open to change the dynamic. And I'm sorry if that was kind of a rant and I didn't say it as clear as I wanted to, but I just want to, and Brian, I kind of like, and maybe speaking and trying to defend for you here too, because, like you said, you have been an individual, at least from my optics, that you are well respected. I do believe you are one who is willing to speak their mind, but maybe, I know you've had issues with certain individuals you work with before, but you are well respected by many different, I will say, cliques, because unfortunately there are
cliques.
So I don't want anybody to think that Brian coming on my channel and him, being able to have an open discussion with me and my frustrations has anything to do with him, not being loyal or dissing anybody else in the community.
No, I'll say that first of all, and this has been a big thing about me, especially ever since I started the new channel, and trying to, it's just who I am. Like you said, it's very humbling to say where you've come from and where you've been, and I'm very honest with where I come from and where I've been. I used to be a piece of shit, right? I know what it's like to hate. It's hard to go to bed at night because of the things that you've done, not only to yourself, but to your family. Right. And I never want to be that again, to the point where I'm not going to lie about stuff. I'm going to be honest because I don't want to have to cover my lies with other lies and other lies. Right. And I know how much I respect that wonderful lady called karma. Right. And how important it is not only to, karma, you put more in that karma, positive karma section when you help yourself and others, right? You treat others respectfully and yourself respectfully. I will never be that person that is like you're saying, Chris, where like me jumping on somebody else's channel is being disloyal to somebody. I'm cool with everybody. And if I'm not cool with you, I'm going to let you know. Right. And I think that's part of being not just a man, but being a human, a better human, and communicating correctly. It's very hard. And karma, like Reef the Sea Forever says, karma will get you in the end if and more so for how you're being with yourself, if you're being honest with yourself. And Chris, I have to say that's one of the things that I think I respect about you is your honesty and being able to say the stuff you do. But again, it gets back to, I think, the community aspect. I think that it's much easier for us to get in little conversations and maybe small little spats, but to the point where we're not it's not getting to the point where like you guys won't talk to each other, people won't talk to each other, and that it should never get to that point in this community, and not just the comic community, but the YouTube community. I wish that we really, if there's this weird thing that happens with musicians and comedians that I see a lot, where if like another comedian finds out that you're a comedian, you're instantly brothers. It also happens with addicts a lot, right? When you find out that another person is an addict, you kind of instantly endear themselves to you if you've been an addict. It doesn't happen here, man. It feels like that doesn't happen here. Like it almost feels like it becomes a competition, right? Who has the most subs, who has the most people watching, who is the biggest influencer, who gets along with who. Man, I just wish it was more like that thing where, hey, we both do the same thing. We both enjoy streaming. We both enjoy comics. We both enjoy giving information out. Let's be cool with each other. Let's help each other. And it's okay to be angry at each other and call people out every once in a while, but it's not going to get beyond repair, I guess I should say. So,
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, man. And again, talking about it is important. Talking about it is important because it's very nuanced. That's the other thing. Like so much of this is nuanced. It comes from weird places, dude. It really does. And I saw somebody earlier say something about how come everything is about comic politics lately. It's because that is such a big part of everything. Like I don't think I would be talking about it if it wasn't such a big part of everything. It feels like we're hearing more about it in our DMs, coming from so many different angles, so many different situations. We all hear it from some point. Somebody says, "Oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that?" And maybe that's the community that we need to change, instead of a community about saying, "Hey, did you hear what's going on here? Did you hear the problem here?" Trying to repair that. I don't know. Would that anger you if somebody said, "Hey, let's repair it"?
So for me, I'm all about solutions.
Yes.
But it goes back to what we were talking about a little earlier. I honestly don't think a large majority of individuals want solutions, at least that talk about it. They want to talk about it because they know it gets them clicks and views. And I always say this, I'm on YouTube with a YouTube channel. I make money on it. I'm here for clicks and views.
Yeah.
Every time I upload a video, I want to figure out the best title, the best thumbnail I could get to get the most clicks and the most views to get the most ad revenue. There is no, that's what I do. But it doesn't mean that I run a business and I'm unethical or I don't understand proper culture and I don't care about the community, because I do, because I speak my mind so much that sometimes I put my business on the back burner and I lose hundreds of subs.
Honest to a fault.
I've lost hundreds of subs multiple times because I can't shut my mouth about what I believe in. But I don't think people want solutions. And this goes back to like, okay, people want to feel like their frustration is valid. Right. So, and I think it goes to like what that individual commented, like, oh, so you're just making excuses for them. But when we're angry about it, we're the bad guys. No. And I'll go back to what I said on Wednesday. I think we could break it down to three groups of people for the most part. And I don't want to generalize or categorize everyone, but there are three types of people in the anti, pitchfork mob mentality right now. One of them they have a YouTube, they sell comics, they want to do the same damn thing, and they just can't get out of the haterade. Whether it's envy, jealousy, whatever it is in there, or they love to sensationalize the drama because they know it's going to get them clicks and views. Then you got the people that they don't care about getting on a YouTube channel, showing their face off. Most of them are actually faceless, but they're on Instagram and their whole account is bashing other people. Why? It goes back to that validation. It goes back to the endorphins in our brains going off, and we get a bunch of likes and we get a bunch of people. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, get those clowns. We get into that mentality and it validates us. But then lastly, there are the people that actually have good intention. But so what I think the problem is here is that we don't talk about things for so long. And then you get more incidences like the C2E2 incidents, which was, that was an absolute mess that needed to come to light. I'm glad it came to light.
Change things. Yeah. Us
changed
talking
it.
about it,
Yep.
change things.
Yep.
The community talking about it, change things, which in a
Absolutely.
positive direction.
Yep. But so now, though, those people with good intent now are following, they're, oh, this YouTuber's talking about that. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because I care about comic books. I care about this hobby, and I don't want this unethical stuff or this bad blood, bad energy. Oh, look, this person's on IG and like, yeah, everything that this person does is wrong, and they're showing it. And man, it's like, it's right. And I'm gonna tell you guys straight up, when I first got into this and I joined Instagram and I'm doing my YouTube, and I'm seeing people post clips of Gem Mint saying something about a book, and I'm like, you know what? What the hell is Gem Mint talking about? I think you're right. I started getting pulled into it. But then this Gem Mint situation, I went and watched Gem Mint's video. And you watch the whole video, it was completely wrong. I actually went to Gem and commented saying, hey, I actually went back to that post and tagged Gem in it saying, you know what? I own my mistake, because I sat here and I jumped to conclusions, and boy, did I start getting pulled into the rhetoric. And so I really had to be mindful of what I consumed. And that goes to show you how we're all influencing each other, right? So I really believe that a lot of these people that have good intention now, they are so, I don't want to say brainwashed. That's a bit extreme, and it's derogatory. But I believe it goes back to our human nature of that groupthink and that echo chamber. And we're not even allowing ourselves to use critical thinking skills to say, okay, maybe this sounds good. Maybe it tends to some preconceived biases or notions that I already have, but let me actually do some research, play devil's advocate, and find out if this is really factual or true to heart.
What's interesting, and I'm not saying that this is how it is with either you or I, but it seems like it happens a lot where people that are arguing with each other, or that are like it's kind of like dogs fighting, right? You just barking at each other, being held back by a leash, right? It's if I get that image sometimes from people, especially on Instagram or Twitter, when it gets like bad. And then behind the scenes, these people, these two people, and you're like, what's funny? If these people actually just like knew each other in real life, they'd realize that they're the exact
Yep.
same people. Like, they agree with each other on so many things in life, except for this just one thing. They think that they gotta fight against each other. And again, I say that happens because of the social media age. Yeah, we think that we can judge a book by its cover in such a and let it be a half cover. You know what I mean? You don't even have the full cover, because your decision on whether you like or don't like this person is based on such a short snippet of time. A 15-second clip, a post that took you 30 seconds to read, and now here you are. You're that fighting dog. You're that barking dog that's snarling and snot and stuff everywhere, and it's for everybody to see. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So again, something you said earlier that's so important, that we need to be better. We need to have more empathy, and that's not just saying like, I feel like empathy can become a bad. It's starting to get kind of bad connotations, the word I guess I'm looking for, where people instantly say, when you say empathy, like you're a beta, right? Like you're not an alpha, when you say empathy. Yep. Right. and I'm not just saying like empathy as in you have to see what they're going through and feel bad for them. No, I'm saying like, just put yourself in their shoes, not in their bad shoes, but just how they might react to something, or how do they look at something, how do they have the big picture to understand even what you're talking about. Yep. And then not using that as a weapon against them, but just understanding, okay, maybe I need to look at this differently, go about it differently. And it's hard for us as humans, because even I feel away sometimes, even you feel away sometimes, like you were just saying with the whole Jim Mint thing. Like you had to step back and watch the thing and go, holy shit, I was being wrong. I was basing it on a short snippet of information.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think as well when we look at validating people's feelings, and I'm talking about real validation, not like, oh, look, I'm in an echo chamber or I'm getting likes and views. Feelings are valid. And being frustrated at things is valid as well. And being able to, you shouldn't be censored, right? There's too much of that going on these days. So I think personally, I do, and I know somebody said in the comments saying, "Oh man, that's a profound statement," saying like people don't want solutions. So I'll look at two things. I'm gonna look at I go back to calling them the people with good intent. First, though, let's look at these people that are using social media platforms, whether it's YouTube or whether it's Instagram, that do nothing but post the negative. And you know what they use? They say, I'm about the real community. I'm for the real community. Um, what if we wake up tomorrow? There is no drama. What if we wake up tomorrow and Thanos snaps half the universe and there's no Comic Tom, there's no Gem Mint, there's no Nerdy Girl, there's no Black Flag, there's no exclusive variants. Everyone that makes exclusive variants is gone. Everyone with over 20,000 subscribers on YouTube is snap. And now all you have is people reading comic books and, sharing the stories, sharing about taking their kids to the LCS. And I mean, let's say that the MCU is even gone. There's no race swapping this or pandering that, or DC movies suck, and like all that's gone. It's just comic books at its purest sense. Do you think those same people that are either making videos or using their Instagram accounts every day out of the week would even care about comics anymore? Or I don't know. That's a bit. Let me. Do you think that they would
Find something else?
Change their tone about comic books, or do you think they would still try to fight to find what's something wrong in order to push that narrative?
I think that's a very interesting question, man. I think it's a very interesting question. And I don't know, because one thing that I will say, I feel like when a lot of times when that happens, when somebody has such a staunch stance on something and then it gets changed, drastically, there's something that has touched them in their personal life to change it. For an example, I know a lot of people that have taken the stance with cannabis that it's a drug and this and that, and I don't care if you think that's right or wrong. It's just what I'm saying. It's a drug. It's bad. Nobody should ever use it. And then all of a sudden, their wife gets bone cancer. And the doctor says to them, hey, your wife is in pain and what we're doing isn't working, but I think this would help. And it helps. It's an instant change, right? It's an instant change that, no, I was wrong and this is good, right? So there's, it can happen with other things too. You know what I mean? It's just not just that, but there's this personal feeling of racism, right? The famous story, black kid, a white kid, they get together. They have two families that hate each other. The Romeo and Juliet thing. They have a child that brings them together, right? And that says, I'm looking at a half race son or a grandson or grandgirl, and I can't hate it anymore, right? It has to. I feel like sometimes it has to be that personal input, right? To cause that. And sometimes it isn't there with these things, right? There's not that opening to have that personal input, maybe, right? Unless you can say, with comics, and you said it earlier, and this is what I think a lot of us love. Hey, what'd you grow up reading? Oh, G.I. Joe. You know what? I grew up reading that too. I fucking love G.I. Joe. Who's your favorite G.I. Joe? You know, you get that personal thing together, and that takes conversation at some point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it takes. So I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. I think, again, it comes down to this conversation aspect and social media and being able to talk to it. And like you said, one of the things that I love about Chris is that he does, when he talks to you through social media, if there's a voice to text voice thing, not a voice to text, but a voice recorder, he's leaving voice messages. And you know, like, it's kind of a pain in the ass when you like see these 6 fucking voice messages. But in all honesty, I'm the same way, man. I would rather call somebody over a phone than reading a text message. I am terrible with text messages. I'm horrible. Sometimes I don't ever I see them sometimes just because I'm bad about that. But what I will do is pick up a phone and call somebody. You know what I mean? And you know, maybe that's it. Maybe it's being on that level.
Yep. Well, let's go back to I want to make sure that from this stream tonight, we get people to know that we're not here making excuses for any individual, any entity. I mean, guys,
it's conversation.
Watch my channel, man. I'm always calling out CGC. I called out Key Collector. That's a whole other story. But when I say, I just made a video saying this is bad with the CLZ's cover price issue. But I love them. I will never not be a paid member to Cover Price. I will never not be a paid member to CLZ, at least for the foreseeable future. I still ship to CGC. I use Key Collector. Anytime that I have an issue with something, I will talk about it still. I'm not a yes man, please. But understand that we are not trying to make excuses for anybody. But let's go back to the people with good intent. I believe you guys are watching. It's a lot of you that are in the audience. And I do believe that there are people with good intent. We go back to the politician example. You start with good intent, but then you start getting sucked in and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm getting validated. So let's talk a little bit to those people that have the good intent. On one part, I would say, always speak your mind. Always bring it up and be productive, not counterproductive in your conversations. But I would add that, like, again, I think it's very important when you feel that something doesn't look right or doesn't feel right or doesn't smell right, don't go looking for someone to validate that initial reaction. Go looking for the opposite, because if you can find the opposite, it's going to challenge your initial reaction even more. And it's going to allow you to have a conversation with yourself to say, was I wrong or was I right? Does that make sense, Brian? And what's your thoughts on?
I agree 100%. I think that that's another way of that whole thing that, like, you know, you sit down to write that long go fuck yourself email, you know, this and that. And people say, when you do that, hand it off to somebody before you send it and say, what do you think about this? Right. It's kind of like that same thing, right? Like, get another opinion on things. Here's another thing. Have a friend, have somebody in your life, you know, a best friend, a brother, a wife, a husband, that you know that you can go to them and go, hey, this is going on. What do you think? And they will give you a truthful response. You know, like, you know, do you think this, hey, I wrote this song. Do you think it's good? And you know that if it's shit, they'll go, bro, it's not good. You know, that's important in life. It's also
real
important.
Real friends tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Exactly. And we need to have that as humans. We need to have that person in your life. Because sometimes or not sometimes, a lot of the time we get in our own heads and it just becomes a debacle. And the next thing you know, you're Kanye West and you're on social media just going crazy, you know. And at the same time, there's a lot of people out there who can't who can't say like, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Making that tweet I shouldn't have done. No, they're like, no, I'm right. I'm right. Even if I know I'm wrong, I'm right. That's fucking just terrible, And yeah, I think that's an important thing.
One thing that I always talk about too is isolating incidents. I think because when something happens and we go to these extremes, especially if say there's this incident with an individual and they just so happen to sell on whatnot. Oh, whatnot, it's like, but or one individual might do something that doesn't look right and then they're a horrible human being, pitchforks.
Yes.
So one thing that I like to do is look at this specific isolated situation and address that, and try to pull out all the facts that you can find, the data surrounding it, and then have a conversation about that and keep it isolated, because then you don't allow for the conversation to kind of, get pull in all these kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like over exaggerated, where it blows up into these big just conspiracy theories of
people
things,
looking to find that fight. There's people out there
right,
that are looking to jump in and dogpile. I mean, they're sniffing for that dog pile, man. So, there's a lot of things in life that we learn as we get older and as more things happen to us. And I'm going to leave. I got to leave here to get ready for the show tonight, but I want to leave by saying one last thing, that it's okay to say that you're wrong, right? I mean, that's an important thing, to be able to say to people, hey, I made a mistake and I was wrong. I would rather go to war with, 20 people that can do that than 20 people that are always right. You know what I mean? Because I know they're going to be level headed and they're not going to make rash decisions, or hopefully not. I think that it's very important to be able to say, not only was I wrong, another very important thing to be able to say, I don't know. I don't know. I need to look into that more. I don't know about that. I'm not going to make a decision. I'm not going to make a comment, or I'm not going to make the comment you're looking for until I find out more. So, on that being said, Chris, much love, brother.
And, I love that, man. Absolutely, Brian. Thank you, man. And again, guys, I think this conversation tonight we're human beings, guys, no matter what we're talking about or what we're doing. And it's always good to ground ourselves in a real human conversation. And Brian, you are the perfect person to come on tonight. I do appreciate you. You want to any last words to the audience?
No. Just appreciate everybody that joined in, that were part of the chat tonight. That makes everything that we're definitely not in a complete echo chamber. The reason that we do this is because we like to stream and have people be part of the conversation and bring up other topics. So thank you to everybody that hung out tonight. And yeah, man, let's continue to do this. I'll be around, and you're around, and let's collaborate more. And everybody out there, let's collaborate more. Shout out to Comic Journey. I see him doing his thing. Shout out to everybody else that do their thing. That being said, check out the Hot 10 tonight. I'm out.
Awesome. Thanks,
Later,
Brian.
brother.
Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you so much to Brian. Appreciate everyone being in the chat here. Reef, Rage hanging out. I saw Mom and Sons. What's going on? Let's see. Officially unofficial geek. So big time collectibles. What's going on? So again, guys, I'm glad that I was able to have somebody like Brian to bounce so many things off of, whether it's my own frustrations or opinions. And this is what I think we need to have. It's like, believe me, guys, like, I want to get back to comic books. I'm not sitting here doing this to sensationalize issues for clicks and views. This is because, first off, and we talked about like the fact that somebody goes into one person's show and not another person's show. It shouldn't be about clicks here, and we should always be open to having a conversation. And I never want to be in a situation where I can't feel like I can't have a conversation with another YouTuber or another community member, even if they disagree with me. That's what we need to be doing, because We can't talk about comic books if we're not operating correctly as human beings. If we're not operating with empathy and compassion as human beings. So that's where it starts. And that's why I keep stressing these issues. And that's why I want to have people sitting up here breaking bread with me that might disagree with me. I go back to this conversation today that I was having with this individual on Instagram saying that, you know, he's thinking that I'm just another, you know, influencer. I think it was the Comic Journey. Somebody just said, like, why is it bad to be called an influencer? It shouldn't be, but that's what we do. We weaponize these labels now, right? So we got to be, I keep stressing it, man, we got to have a conversation. But maybe, you know, and I'm asking you guys this right now, maybe it is. Maybe we as human beings, so many of us are just incapable. And I think it is a cultural thing, and it's plaguing us everywhere. It's plaguing, you know, like ego and validation is plaguing us on social media, no matter what we're talking about, politics, music. It's crazy. So can we, you got to ask yourself, I'm gonna get real deep with you guys real quick here. What's going on, Steven? Look, man, I don't know about you guys, man, but I'm kind of going through a midlife crisis right now. I'm being real. You know, it's not been easy in many ways. I'm sure all of us, we all have our own struggles. I suffer from anxiety and PTSD, which has altered who I am as a human being. Two brothers, what's going on? I constantly am thinking about my mortality, you know? I trip off it, man. My best friend, who was the most beautiful human being that I have ever known to this day, died when we were 13. And I used to pray every night. I used to sit there I used to, like, it was like a list, you know, like it was like I would throw anybody that I knew, I would say their names. God, please, what, you know, every night. But when my friend died, I stopped praying. And funny enough, I went down a really dark path. I've talked about this a little bit on my channel, you know, letting you guys into more personal who I am as a human being. As a teenager, I spent many years facing death or a jail cell. But I was one of the lucky ones to wake up from that mental slumber. I was one of the lucky ones to realize that this shit is going to kill me. And I'm hurting everyone around me. Not everyone gets that opportunity. And when I did, though, it was funny because I found myself so well. Like, I was at a point, like in my early 20s, I could have died right then. It's like I'm at peace with the Most High, God, whatever, Allah, whatever you want to call it. I was in my zone. I was awake, aware, and I found that spiritual clarity, right? I had kids. I went through a lot more stuff. I had loved ones that I saw losing battles to their addiction to dope. I suffered traumas, and I went, you know, so many things in my life. I moved my family out of Richmond to protect and save my family. I won't get into the details there. And here I am at the age I'm at now. And I'm getting to a point, guys. I'm getting to a point, okay? It's hard for me to tell you guys what my faith is. Do I have faith? Do I believe in a God? Is there anything after this? What the hell are we? What is this all for? And I wonder how many people sit there and think about this. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just so messed up in the head or such an analytical thinker, you know. I don't know. Maybe I opened up so much of my brain doing whatever I did when I was young that I'm like, whatever. I don't know. But the point that I'm getting at is I sit here and I look at, I'm not 20 years old anymore. And you start looking at how finite this life is. And you start understanding that there's a clock. And when I think about those things, I think about what is important right now. And never does my ego come up. Never does, oh, how many hearts can I get on a post, or like stature, validation. I don't think about those things. And maybe the problem is that too many people do. And I'm sorry that I relate that to my mortality, because life is short. And what the hell are we fucking fighting for? Comic books? I come from that life, man. I strapped the pistol on me to protect my life. I avoided bullets being fired in my direction. I grew up in an environment watching the people that I love strung out on dope. I seen good friends fucking murdered and dying in their own puddle of blood. I'm a rapper. I made music with people I grew up listening to, like Tupac's Outlaws and Wu-Tang and San Quinn and Bay Area legends. And I ran deep in every hood in the Bay Area. Am I stroking my ego right now? And am I acting hard right now? No, I'm making a point. I'm making a point. I ran through every hood from Hunters Point to East Oakland to the Iron Triangle in Richmond. As a white dude. What I'm trying to say here again is this, guys. It is so corny to think that we're using a platform to talk about comics, but to only flex. Because none of that shit is a flex. None of that shit is a flex. The only people who glorify street life are those either falling victim to it, or those that have the privilege of never actually experiencing it. And what we got going on in this community, I truly feel, and this is my feelings right now. This is my feelings. Tell me I'm wrong. It's all good. Tell me I'm wrong. It's all good. But my feelings right now is that everybody is in this game. Not everybody. That's a generalization. I got to catch myself. See, words matter. I got to catch myself. Too many people are in this to flex. Go check out the website. Check out the website. I just dropped in the... Anyways, man. When I saw the comment on the Instagram post that was taking screenshots or pictures of certain individuals and talking that mad-ish, and this individual went there saying, man, I started a ruckus in New York Comic Con, and I had to get security to bounce me out, and he's going on social media trying to flex that he caused violence at a Comic Con. In the name of what? Influencers are ruining comic books. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it. Papa, thank you. Marvel Goddess, thank you for hanging out. Guys, man, life is too damn short to not be able to have a conversation. I guess I'm getting so, over this last couple of weeks, I've had multiple shell accounts. People open shell accounts because I could see when they created them. They created them the same day that they started commenting on my videos, threatening me, saying that they're going to come find me. Go ahead. They're going to hunt me, threatening violence. Why? Because I'm sitting here saying we need to have conversations about comic books instead of picking up a pitchfork. Are you kidding me? And these are people, and I know who some of them are. These are people that go and make shell accounts that can't come at me face to face and give me the finger or tell me what they really feel. Never should anything relating to comic books be so prevalent in validating violence. And whether these people truly think that, they're just sitting behind a screen trolling, maybe they don't, maybe that's all it is, right? Because like many people have said in the chat tonight, people don't got to face the consequences of opening their mouth in real life, face to face with people. They hide behind screens. And maybe that's all it is. But I tell you, when we already have specific examples, real life examples of the violence transferring over to real life, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's why I keep talking about this. Okay, Comic Journey. Why do you let this crap get to you? People threaten me all the time. I embrace it and double down on the trolls. I'm gonna tell you right now, Comic Journey, it's not about me. It really isn't. At the end of the day, it's not about me. Like, I'm worried about the community, and people want to say, it's not a community, all you want. A community is a group of people that share a commonality. This is a virtual community. We don't always got to agree. The comic community is what you see at a Comic Con. And not everybody agrees, right? They come from all walks of life. My concern is the us against them mentality that seems to obviously be getting worse and worse. Because people know that they can sensationalize it. They know that they can make money off of it from ad revenue on YouTube. And they know they can get validated from their clicks and views and comment sections. But I will say one more time, because we got a Q&A to get to, and we got some prizes to give away. Thank you, Justin. I will never make an excuse for anybody that is doing something wrong, including myself. Hold me accountable. But before we can start yelling and screaming and pointing a finger at somebody. You need to be able to have a conversation, and you need to be able to present facts, evidence to support why you feel this person or this entity is in the wrong. And I will always, before that, I will always support anybody that does that with the intention of proper accountability and finding solutions. And anybody, if there's ever anything that involves comic books, that involves YouTubers, whatnot sellers, whatnot, CGC, anybody in this community, other people on Instagram, you want to hit me up and you want to have a conversation about it, and you want your voice heard, I will give you a platform. The individual that was coming at me today that we ended up finding common ground, I said, do you want to come on the show tonight? He said, I don't really do that. That's not me, but we had a conversation still. I don't care if you don't need to have a YouTube. You don't need to have anything. You could just be somebody in this hobby that's concerned about a specific situation. You could come on. You don't need to have a camera. You could just talk. You could show your face. My door will always be open to anybody that either disagrees with me, that might disagree with what an influencer is doing, what a company is doing, what an app's doing. And if you come to me and you say, this is my problem, and this is why, and you do it in a respectful manner and show me that you are actually using your brain and critically thinking and saying, this is why I'm upset. This is why I'm questioning this. This is why this doesn't look good. I'll talk about it. I'll bring you on and we'll have a conversation. I will never be a yes man to nobody. I will never one side of something just to suck up to somebody else. And if you are still accusing me of that, then I can't help you. I can't help you, and you're only here to troll me. Because I stated my truth, and I can state it till I'm blue in the face. And for those people that don't have good intent, you're going to keep trying what you do to slander me, left to right, all day long, 24/7. But good luck with that, because karma is a bitch. Now, with that said, oh man, Papa Shimmy, I put you on my top 16 comic book influence comic awards, brother. Comic books are just only a start to talk about other subject matters. Comics is a great community, it's supposed to grow together. Papa, I 100% thank you, and I agree. I absolutely agree. It is. It really is. It is. You know what, Pasquale? I hear you, appreciate you, but you know, I everything that I've done in life, I wanted to make a difference outside of myself. And that's why I feel like sometimes I have to talk about these things. You know, maybe it's martyrdom. I don't know. But and I'm not saying this to say I'm righteous and holier than thou. But I just, again, man, like from everything that I went through in my life and understanding my favorite quote, I'm not saying I'm gonna change the world, but I guarantee I will spark the brain to change the world. I want to help spark the brain for us to be better human beings. And that's why I can't just, ignore the negative people, screw them. Now I've learned to not just like feed the trolls, but we got to have a conversation, because there's so many people that I could have written off, whether they make content or whether they're just viewers in this community. There's so many people that I could have written off as trolls that I've actually had conversations with. And we built bridges. We broke bread and built those bridges. That's why I do what I do. And another reason is this right here. And I'm just going to play this real quick.
What do you think you're most known for? Your acting, your music, or the controversy that surrounds you?
My big mouth. My big mouth. I got a big mouth. I talk from my heart. I'm real. You know what I'm saying? Whatever comes. But my controversy problem, and it's not my fault. I'm trying to find my way in the world. You know, I'm trying to be somebody instead of just make money off everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so I go down paths that haven't been traveled before, and I usually mess up. But I learn, you know what I'm saying? I come back stronger. You know, I'm not talking ignorant, you know what I'm saying? So I obviously put thought into what I do. So
Straight up. I mean, look, man, obviously those are Tupac's words, but he says so much that speaks to the passion and the words that I speak in life. And when he was saying my big mouth, and for me too, he wasn't saying it in a negative way. It's like I can't help it. I speak from the heart. That's what he said. That's how I feel for myself. I can't help it. I speak from the heart. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, and I still learn. I always learn and grow. But that's who I am. No matter if I'm making music, up here talking comic books on YouTube, it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. So, comic journey, not at all. Not at all. Tony, thanks, Tony. With that being said, guys, we're going to get in. The show's not over. The show is not over. We're going to do a Q&A, and there's some good questions here. And then we're going to do a giveaway. So for all of my members, my channel members, my Patreon members, don't go anywhere. But we're going to pull up the questions that you all asked. I thought I had it up here, guys, but I didn't. So I got to go find it real quick. It's right here. For the month of October, there wasn't too many this month, but there were still some good ones. And man, oh man. And for all my Patreon members, I'm gonna clip this part of the segment for any of those that weren't able to make it tonight or have to leave early. You guys can watch this. I'll post it on my my Patreon as well, and I'll make it a video that's that you guys could just go and see and watch this part. But let's get into it, guys. The first question here. I love this too. X11. If money was not a factor and you could pick anywhere, where in the world would you open up a comic shop and why there? What would it be like? Wow. Okay, so I would probably open up a comic book shop in East Oakland. And I'm going to tell you why. Because first off, it wouldn't just be a comic book shop. I have always had a vision of opening up like a kind of like not a community center, but similar. So what I would do is I would have a storefront. I would also have a nonprofit organization, but they would be two separate entities. But I would have a storefront that would be a comic book shop, right? It would have a coffee bar where we could serve not only coffee, but healthy juices, whether it be blended juice beverages or because there needs to be healthier options, especially in low income minority communities like East Oakland. Okay. I would absolutely have a little game center, probably a couple of little arcades, and I would have like a PlayStation or a Nintendo Switch so folks could sit, kids could come hang out, have a couch in there and lounge and, go get a juice and sit and play video games, right? Maybe like after school. But I would also, in the comic book shop too, I would hold art classes. I would hold art sessions where we do like a monthly art class because as an artist myself, I would want to teach the younger generation at any age that wants to come in and learn how to draw, right? I'd sell back issues. I'd sell new releases. We'd have manga. It'd be all on. But then we would also have a youth center that focused on tutoring. So kids could come in after school. They could go, play some video games, read a comic book, and then they could come into the youth center and get tutored with math or English or science, whatever it is, to help them along in school. And I would also have a studio, a music studio. And the music studio would not only teach audio engineering, not only teach beat production, but it would allow anybody that participated in it to be able to record music to then release. So it would be an all-in center that would focus on supplying the youth of minority low-income communities with so many resources that you don't often see, but while still having this storefront that was for people of all ages who don't get this type of culture, so to say, in terms of reading, in terms of what the culture of comic books offer, right? That's what I would do, X11. That would be my ultimate goal one day. All right, next question. Simon R said, what book was the biggest surprise that you ever got back from CGC that you thought was lower and came back higher? Well, Simon, do I have it right here? Do I have it right here? I do. Hold tight. My biggest surprise, and I made a video about it, my 9.8 Amazing Spider-Man 362, because, boy, it's a newsstand. This is still not a 9.8. Oh, my God. It is still not a 9.8. I thought it was an 8.0. I did an amazing pressing job on it. Maybe I bumped it up to a 9.0. It's not a 9.8. So that's the one. You guys should go check out that video if you haven't watched it. Absolutely. That was a great question because, oh my gosh, like you guys, I did the unboxing and I was like so shocked. And I was like, I got to make a video about this. And then I went and talked about why I got a 9.8 and I'm pissed, right? All right. Next up, we got a question from Justin. Elm. Let me get some water, guys. I'm getting a little parched. All right, here we go. Justin says, like most of us, I like to keep a checklist of the comics I own on the mobile phone. Make it damn handy to have that info available when you're in an LCS. Absolutely. I used to do the notebooks. Oh, that was a lot of work. Right now, I'm using Google Keep, which is free to use. I've never used Google Keep, so I'm not familiar with it. I've been thinking about using the CLZ app, but I wanted to ask, what benefits are there to paying a CLZ subscription versus free checklist? What are the benefits? Well, I mean, first off, Justin, the interface is pretty solid. You know, the interface is absolutely pretty solid. Yeah, Harlot, absolutely. I'm pulling CLZ up. I mean, look, it gives you, it tells you what's the key and all that, and they're integrated with Cover Price's data now, sales data. So that's valid, even though I have some concerns with how the data and algorithms are, working together. But I mean, it's just, I love using it. You could scan newer books in, 90s on that have the newer barcodes. I just think it's worth it. Like I said, the interface is really easy to use. Like when I click on Amazing Spider-Man, it shows me which issues I have. So it's really easy to see what I don't have. Or I could click right here. I don't know if you guys can read this. It does say find missing comics. So I could click that and it'll highlight all the comic books that I am missing. You could go into, you could put the grade. Like I have Amazing Spider-Man number 8. It gives you first appearance of Living Brain, et cetera, et cetera. And mine is a 0.5 CGC graded. No, mine, that's a raw. Mine's a raw copy. 0.5 raw copy. Anyways, it's all there. It's integrated. And like I said, I can't speak to the Google platform that you're using. But man, what do I pay? Like $68 a year, it's well worth it for me. Absolutely. Yeah, Google kind of pisses me off sometimes. That's all I'll say. All right, next question. Peter Thornton. What are some big surprises you've seen while reading a comic book? Stuff you weren't expecting. Cameos, big twist, shocking moments, deaths. Man, Peter. I should have prepped for this one. This is a tough one. Well, I will say this. I was shocked that when what's his name? Oh my God, Dan Slott took over Amazing Spider-Man, with the Brand New Day, and they erased everything. I was surprised that I was reading that. I've been reading that comic book run now for 15 years, and they still haven't gone back and addressed it. Yeah, that's my biggest surprise, and I'm pissed. Still, to this day. Another big surprise was Peter revealing his identity in Civil War. But man, I know that there's some more, but I would really have to sit and think about that some more. But that's such a good question. All right, guys, we got a couple more, and then we're going to get into our giveaways. CLZ is absolutely awesome. Yep. Steven, I'll answer your question in brief here in a minute. Let me get to these two last questions from my Patreon members. I'll get into your question a little bit, and then we're going to do the member giveaways. But we got another one from X11. We got another one from X11. Well, I'm going to answer X11's last. We got another one from Justin. Here we go. I propose a challenge instead of a question. I challenge you to do a rap about Spider-Man using the funky beats from the comic book canon intro. He said, just playing. But in all seriousness, though, do you still write lyrics or raps in your free time? When you write lyrics, where do you draw your inspiration from? Wow. So, in 2011, I put the music up. Jib, what's going on? Thanks for hopping in. I put the music up. I had quit my day job. I was doing the music full time. I put it up to get my family out of Richmond. It took me about a year before I set my home studio back up again, and I started making music. And I made some of the best music between late 2012 to 2015. But then for some reason, going into 2016, you know what it was? It was school. It was school because I was going to school. That's what it was for some reason. School was, I was just raising my kids, going to school full time, and it was madness, and I didn't have time for it. But by the time I was graduating, I started doing the YouTube stuff, and I was really involved fully with comic books. So I think the comic books kind of like took that spot. But I've only written a couple songs. I released one about 2 years ago. And then when I was displaced living in a hotel last year, over a year ago, I found an app on my phone where you can make beats and record on your phone. And I actually did a little song that I put on my YouTube, my Only Else YouTube. But very rare, man. And it's I'm gonna tell you, it sucks. It sucks because I miss it almost every day. Almost every day. And while I have my little 15 minutes, rocking shows with Wu-Tang and KRS-One and Hieroglyphics and making music with these people and doing all that. Like, I don't, honestly, at this point in my life, even if somebody came and said, yo, and what's interesting was, like, I was doing shows with Macklemore, before he, like, blew up. And, you know, I get a little salty because I'm like, man, I was right there. But I made the decision that I made. You know, I made the decision to stop. But even though I don't think I would ever want that for my life, music is still such a passion for me. And I would still want people to hear it, even if it's just a handful of people. So I do really hope to get back into it someday. I don't know what that's going to take, but, you know, Lee, thank you for being here for the first time. Greg, those Astros. Oh, Pasquale, raise my kids in the East Bay. That's dope. Yep, that's dope. So, yeah, man, Justin, that's kind of the answer to that question. When I write lyrics, where do I get inspiration from? I mean, y'all can listen to my music. You guys can listen to my music and hear it, man. I mean, I get inspired by a lot of musicians. I don't just I listen to all genres of music. I mean, when I talk about musical inspirations, I go from Tupac to Outkast to, you know, Tracy Chapman to Creedence Clearwater to Stevie Wonder, you know, Sam Cooke to Sarah McLachlan, like to Bush or Nerton, Alice in Chains. I mean, I'm all over the place, man, with my influences. Tori Amos, you know, Zion I, obviously, you know, all the local Bay rappers that I came up listening to. So, but when I write my lyrics, I always I call myself like, it's consciously, I don't like the labels. There's so many labels in hip hop, conscious hip hop. I don't get down like that. I put the real, it's real music. It's real life music. And I pull from the struggle. I pull from the ugly, the grimy, the dirty, you know, whether it's that life, living that life, or those suffering from that life, next to just the deep pain being somebody that is crying out to have a voice. I think, and that's something that's very universal, and we all can relate to that. I never once called a woman a B word in my music. I never once called a woman a hoe in my music. I don't sit and make music degrading our women. And that's something that I made an oath early on in my life as a teenager that I would never do. So, but it's grimy. It's grimy though. It's real, and it's always to uplift and to perpetuate change. But it's got that grime because somebody's got to talk about. And in another quote from Tupac, if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody might go try cleaning it up. So that's kind of my intent and my inspiration, where I pull from, for sure. Tony, how much money do you think Aaron Judge is going to sign for? And does he stay with the Yankees? He's going to the Giants. And he's going to have a record. He's going to be hitting close to basketball revenue. I think he's going to sign for $60 million a year. That's what's up. I said it. Thank you, Tony. All right. Somebody, was it Steven that asked a question I want to get to, and then I'm going to do the, I got one more question, Steven. I apologize, from, X11. X11 asks, if you could only be known for one thing, what would that be? X11. I'm going to tell you right now. Hold on.
Controversy that surrounds you.
My big mouth. My big mouth. I got a big mouth. Can't help it.
Right there. There it is again. How to pull it back in. Yeah, man. Again, but not in a negative sense. I want to be known for being somebody that was never silent. I never sat here and took it. That if there was somebody or something that needed to be talked about and needed to be said, I will say it. And if there's a conversation that needs to be had, I will have it. And the purpose and the intent about that is, again, is to move human beings forward in whether it's, like I said, in the hood or here on YouTube, and just helping regular normal people be better human beings, have an outlet in life, and be present in the moment, because like I said earlier, this life is way too short. And look, man, whether you believe in God or you believe in Allah or you believe in the Most High, or you don't believe in anything, whether you believe something comes after this or whether you believe that this is all it is and that's it, I don't understand anybody. I don't understand anybody that takes the moment for granted and thinks that ego and, clout actually means something. So that's what I want to be known for. All right, to all my Patreons, man, I appreciate you guys so much. Now, we're going to get to Steven's question here. Steven asked, I'm curious on what you think about the dropping comic book market. I have bought a lot of books in the last 7 years, and I am not selling. No matter what, I'm a long-termer myself. I like your way of thinking, Steven, for sure. Look, Brian said this earlier in the show. He said, the market may be taking a hit, but they're still up crazy amounts from just 2.5, 3 years ago. And I think that's the perspective that you need to put in. I'm not worried about comic books. I'm not. And that's another thing about everyone that rages about everything that's wrong with comics. There's a lot of issues. There's issues within the publishers and, trying to figure out what they're doing with new titles and stories and characters. And yeah, that's fine. There's issues of ethics going on, and that's all industries, and it's always going to be there. And yeah, let's talk about it in a productive manner. Okay. The comic book market's evolving. We have Whatnot. eBay is doing their live thing here. And there's different ways we consume. There's different ways we sell, different ways we interact. We have comic book influencers on YouTube now. All of these things are creating a much different dynamic. And there's a lot of people that might not understand it and might kind of be, There's a lot of people that will use it in a negative fashion. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about comic books. I think what worries me more is it's outside of comic books, and it's the economy. And I think the economy can continue to hurt in a way that can hurt comic book prices. But for you, Steven, and people like me, I mean, I do sell comics now, but as a collector, let the comic book market hurt for a little bit. I still don't have Amazing Spider-Man 50, and that comic book's been booming, and it might still, because we know Vincent D'Onofrio's coming and more things in the MCU, but I'm all good with that book dropping some, because maybe I can afford it one day, right? But I don't think that we're ever going to get to pre-COVID numbers ever again on the majority of books. So, retailers and publishers will ride the variant wave as much as they can. If there's a market for variants, they'll keep doing it. If there's a market for exclusives, they'll keep doing them. It doesn't affect the bulk of the market, though. It doesn't affect the bulk of comic books. It really doesn't. CGC, signing, signature series, there's a market for that. As long as there's a market for that, it's going to keep happening. It doesn't affect how other people collect if they're not into that. I'm not worried about comic books. I think it's going to be a rough couple of years, especially if you're selling. But in 5 to 10 years from now, Bronze Age books are, I mean, I can't imagine where Bronze Age books that are even worth, say, anywhere from around in high grade $400 to $1,000 right now. I can't imagine where they're going to be in 10 years. I can't imagine where Silver Age run fillers from your legacy runs are going to be in 10 years. Like, you know, like an ASM 46 or oh, was that first appearance of Shocker? Anyways, an ASM, a 12-cent ASM that's not a big first appearance. You could get a book like that in a mid-grade copy 5 years ago for less than $20. Now, you're lucky if you could get a mid-grade copy for under 50. In 10 years, good luck getting a mid-grade copy, in my humble opinion, for under $150. That's where Silver Age books are going to be at, in my humble opinion. Legacy runs, that is. We got the MCU going. I mean, you know, it's going to keep bringing new people into the hobby. Not all of them are going to like the MCU, and not all of them are going to buy into the spec hype. And spec is a whole other thing. I'm not talking about spec. I'm just talking about the interest in superheroes and the characters. I'm not talking about, oh, Frogman, Leapfrog, showed up for 2 seconds as a freaking spoof in a Disney Plus show, so now I'm going to pay $40 for a $2 book. Oh, and then a week later, it's back down in the dollar bins. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the generations that are going to always have these movies, to fall in love with these characters, to go back and read the books and that kind of thing, right? I'm not worried about comics. Not one bit. I think entities are going to continue to evolve. I think CGC is in the middle of that. And I said this recently too. Go back and watch all my videos where I was calling out CGC for things that I disagree with, or where I'm like, CGC, what are you doing? Or you need to do this. I've been saying it. CGC is either going to really, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, or they're going to figure it out because they need to, because the pressure's on. And I feel like they're doing that. And it's allowing not just them to be better, but it's evolving the grading industry of this comic book market. I think publishers have a lot to work out. You know, I think they're trying good things and they have good intent, but I think they need to kind of, okay, keep those things on the table, but get back to what makes a comic book story good. And then bring everything else in and evolve it. I think it's going to happen. I do. It might take another 10 more years. I think it's going to happen, though. I'm not worried about comic books. Will the variant market ever die out? I think exclusive. I think there are a lot of issues with exclusives. And this is where ethics really do come in, and where I will hold people accountable. But that's another conversation. The 30 variants, you know, that Marvel does, it's giving artists jobs, and there's a market for it, and it doesn't bother me. I don't care about variants. I think that's going to last a long time because people love the art. I'll say it one more time, Steven. I'm not worried about comic books. Just hold tight, like you said. Hold on to your books. Keep collecting what you love. Be mindful of your budget. And this will be a hobby that you can always love and enjoy and come back to. Yep. So, guys, it's been a great show. Moonchild's in the building. What's going on, man? Clumsy Comics. Yeah. I love this way of thinking, Pasquale, for sure. A crunch bar, Brandon. Awesome. Lobo, I'm all for it. I am all for it. Absolutely. Let's do it. All right, guys. Before we end, I'm going to give you guys one more reminder before we do the giveaways. There's a link below. I'm exhausted right now, guys, by the way. Whew. Losing my voice. there's a link in the description below for an awesome charity live sale tonight for our veterans. Okay, again, this show tonight was dedicated to my dad, veteran, my grandpa, rest in peace, World War II veteran. Guys, in less than an hour, click that link below, because all the proceeds, it's going to be an auction. All the proceeds are going to go to Mission 22, which is ran by and for veterans. So I definitely encourage you all to go check that out. It's on the Drip app. It's really easy to get set up once you click the link. Again, I highly recommend you guys doing so. But let's get in to some member giveaways, guys. First up, I'm going to do my YouTube channel member giveaway. This is the Walmart 3-pack with this Thor #1 variant. It's in a bag and board, but the 3-pack is not open. I don't know what the other 2 comics are. This is for my YouTube channel members. And for my YouTube channel members, I got a few here right now. We got X11, Moonchild, Shadow Rat. I know there was some more here earlier as well. Tony, Brandon. So I appreciate all you guys. Comic Journey. You guys are absolutely awesome. So I did the randomizer, and we got a winner. And again, I appreciate you guys. I know it's only $1.99 a month to support as a YouTube channel member. I try to do giveaways once a month, and I'd give you guys early access to at least a couple early access videos every month as well. And the winner of October's YouTube member giveaway is none other than my favorite quarterback, Jimmy G. Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo is a member of the channel. I'm just kidding. But it's Jimmy G, the comic guy, man. Or he's a comic fan here, supporting the channel, supporting the community. Jimmy, if you're watching this, I know you've been a channel member for a good amount of time too. I appreciate you, Jimmy. If you're watching this, please shoot me a comment, shoot me an email, find me on Instagram, whatever you got to do. If anybody else knows Jimmy, hit him up, because I need to get your information, Jimmy. And this is coming your way. Marley, what's going on? Terry, what's going on? All right, Jimmy G, good job. Thank you. Congrats. Now on to my Patreon members. So again, my Patreon members, I really appreciate those that are current members. Interesting enough, my membership shrunk a lot. Maybe it has to do with, hard times, and I get that. I'm not holding it against anybody. I mean, hey, if you guys join for a month and cancel, like, you supported me as a member for a month, and I am so grateful. And I mean, you guys being here watching my streams and watching my channel is support enough, right? That's what keeps me doing what I'm doing. Obviously, the extra support comes from Patreon members, but those that have stuck with me, I lost a lot earlier this year when I was sick with COVID. It was weird. So I appreciate you all sticking with me. I appreciate the few new ones that I've gained along the way over the last few months as well. I do got the big this end of the year giveaway as well, with a Scorpion Comics exclusive Gabriel Del Otto variant of the Origin of Codex. But right now we got the Eternals #1 Arthur Adams variant, Dark Ages #1, and West Coast Avengers 62, first full appearance of the Timekeepers. And I can't express with any more words about how grateful and appreciative I am of all my channel members. We got a couple in the house right now: Raising Elm, X11, I think Peter was here earlier, so I appreciate all you guys. Creepy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. The winner, and I'm sorry I don't have as much energy right now to be like, the winner is the winner of October's Patreon member giveaway. Alvin Fields. Alvin Fields, come on down. Woo. Alvin, if you are watching this, now the good thing about my Patreon members, I can email you guys on Patreon. So, Alvin, if you're watching this, hit me up. But if not, I'll be hitting you up. Thank you, Alvin, for your continued support. You've been a Patreon member for a good amount of time. So, congrats to Alvin. I'll be sending these out your way. And like I said, end of the year for my Patreon members, I will be getting an end of the year. I might throw a couple other books in here too. I will be doing an end of the year giveaway for my YouTube channel members as well. I'll probably be announcing those right after the new year, and doing it live on a live stream again. Maybe we'll do a New Year celebration and do those giveaways then. But man, it's been a night, guys. Thank you all for sticking around for the Q&A, and thank you guys that were here for the whole show. We talked about some real deep stuff. I want to say thank you again to Brian McClay for coming on and, really, speaking raw and adding just solid context to everything that we talked about. Thank you all for contributing in the comment section. And again, thank you to Bronze Age Nerd for stopping by to let us know about that charity live stream for our veterans that's happening in just about 42 minutes. Link is below, folks. Go get you on that stream and see if we can find bid on some awesome books to help our veterans for Veterans Day. To all the veterans in the chat for holding it down, thank you guys so much. It's not even about recognizing what you guys did in your service. It's also about recognizing the fact that you are here now with us, and you guys need to have a community welcoming you just as much as anyone else. And I think was it Bronze when he was telling us about the stream earlier, that so often veterans don't get aren't able to necessarily acclimate. They don't have, there's resources that they may need just due to everything that they've been through to sacrifice so much for others that are sitting here with our privileges. And it's not about believing in war or supporting war or the politics that are always involved with, global issues. It's not even about that. It's the principle. And I really hope that we all can realize that and come together today in support of our veterans to realize that this isn't about politics. It's about understanding sacrifices and understanding that we have a lot of work to do to help these individuals when they come back home to be able to live prosperous lives without bearing a burden that they've already took on for so much of us, right? So now I'm just rambling on, guys, but it's just very important, guys. Go check out that live stream. I'm gonna pop in myself after I try to get a little bit of rest and get some food in my stomach. Thank you guys so much. I hope you all have a good weekend. Wakanda forever. I'm there tomorrow. That's what's up. Thank you guys so much for being here. Be well. And until next time.